Welcome back, punters, for another edition of the Punters Academy review. Of course, John Walter joins us as per usual.
John, long week, isn't it? We're halfway through it.
I feel like I need a holiday already.
I picked a bad week to get crook. I can't get rid of it. I think it's just, I don't think not sleeping helps healing processes, but anyway, we battle through.
No, we do indeed. We won't be having questions today, punters. There's too much on, to be honest, and it's a nightmare week. But anyway,
I don't think anyone's got time to listen to the questions anyway, so I think it'll work out well for everyone, and we'll just tackle it again next week.
Right. We'll come back at the end of the week and probably Friday and do a quick preview, rapid fire for the Saturday meeting. Okay, let's get straight into it. At Rosehill Saturday, look, in terms of shoot races, you had to be between 2 and 4 lengths was the best position from the lead, and pretty even on the course proper overall. I haven't got lanes data in as yet, but I thought the track played reasonably fair, John. Perhaps, a few off the fence in the straight might have been slightly better, but I don't know if there was that much in it. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a weird one because obviously, like you identified it, that the fencing run might not be great, but it was considering how firm it was. But what did you have? So you had a pretty firm track.
Good three, 3.4 on the shoot, slightly slower. But
so usually when it's like that, the fence is pretty good and on pace is pretty good at Rosehill. So I thought it was unusual that the horses were sort of coming where they were and making ground, and it did look a little bit advantagegeous compared to sort of on pace and towards the inside. Obviously, 3 or 4 offs normally probably the spot, but it wasn't a horrifically biased track, that's for sure. You could win from anywhere if you were good enough.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's get straight into the highway in race 1. I'll just bring up my little.
Isn't this a weird horse?
Above average tempo. Yeah, this is a bit interesting. This horse. I mean,
looks like Farlap on its day.
Over racing and keen and
an apprentice, young apprentice who, like I'm not having a crack at her, but she doesn't ride much in town at all. Look at here, he is going crazy already. He looked like a bit of a 1,000-meter squib early in the prep, and I think he's like, how many runs has he had? He's probably had 10 runs this prep or something crazy.
Yeah, about 10 runs this prep. I think that was its 10th run.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th run this prep. That's his 3rd win, 2nd highway. 1100 I thought was a stretch, and that day it was sort of back from 12 to 1100 and let down a 1. You thought, oh, okay, maybe it runs 11, and here it is doing something similar over 1200. Hits the front, way too early, and holds them off. I think it's a pretty boring race from a review perspective, to be honest. But just love the line on this horse. It's just a tough little nugget of a thing that they've had a lot of fun with. I don't think there's much to follow behind.
No, look, Sun Glue over raced and probably put itself out of business as a result. But then again, this horse over raced too, didn't it? King's Trust did what King's Trust does and slow out and ran on okay. Just an interesting horse, John. Vicky's one, I think, ran last, didn't it? It did start at like about 100. That did start around about the hundreds.
Yeah.
But prior to the start, they vetted this horse, saying that there was an aggravated old wound on the left side of its jaw. The vet passed it fit, and then, of course, post race, it was bleeding from the same wound under the jaw. So.
It was given an absolute bye, like given no chance of winning whatsoever, and kind of looked like it had something left on the line too. So maybe interesting to see running about a bit and finally maybe it was in pain. Interesting horse. I thought Brazen Impact was a little bit unlucky for sure. Back towards the inside, A to B wasn't too bad, and the winner and the leader sort of did a good job, set a solid tempo, which I said it looks like they set fastish paces for the most. Oh no, they didn't. Sorry for most of the card, but this one hung on okay. I think it's sort of ready to go is how I'd mark it. Most of these horses were set up by were advantaged by the race shape. I think what you see is what you get. They all had their chance. The horses sort of coming towards the middle.
Okay, let's get on to race 2. The 78 for fillies and mares, below average tempo early. Bit of a bunch finished towards the end.
it's not often when you watch a race you go, wow, that race looked terrible. But when you get the times back, this race kind of made sense. Didn't they? Like, they went slow and they didn't really quicken. They come home okay, don't they? But they don't ever really do anything, and that's kind of what it looked like watching it. And it looked like that on paper to me. A bunch of horses that struggled to maybe run a strong 1200, and the winner just had the dream run and fell in. And I think it's overall a pretty average race.
Seven horses within 1.37 lengths on our margins, and I backed Famico, which pulled up with cardiac arrhythmia, and 10 Bells, which just ran okay. Varvia bled from both nostrils, so it's out for 3 months.
Adds further poo-poo to the race too, doesn't it? That the favourite, which looked like it went poorly, and that makes sense. So that makes the race even worse.
Yeah, a lot of these ran pretty good sectionals late, but so that's entitled to, I think, off that below average tempo. So
you got the favourite out of the race. The other horse you've backed that was like a $7 chance out of the race with cardiac arrhythmia, a length between the rest of them. It's that's the definition of a very dicey race to try and find any positive form out of going forward.
Yes, indeed. Let's move on, I think, to race 3 to 78 over 1,500 metres. Average tempo. We saw the favourite get the job done here, and it looked pretty soft on the line, but there wasn't much to beat, I don't think, in this race for it.
Yeah, another one that kind of made sense when you look at the numbers after the race, as in, if I was on Waterford here, I would have been in pain. I would have thought I'm in a lot of trouble. They look like they're controlling the speed.
Yeah, just average tempo.
Yeah, and obviously the winner's pulled up with an issue. Sorry, not the winner. The leader has pulled up with an issue. I think.
Yeah, what do they say there? Tongue-tied. So Tim Clark's saying that. He recommended
post up, but it's pulled up with like a throat issue or something. So it did have an issue.
Yeah, and some discharge from its left nostril, they're saying, and T. Clark suggested a tongue tie might be in order.
So it looks to me, it looks like a bunch of one-paced horses that have gone too slow, and the one horse with a turn of foot's kind of got over it. Has he done anything? Not really. And he's probably a horse that they'll overplay, I'd say, off this, because he didn't really do anything.
Beat average runners. Jalmari. I think they've had enough.
You love that horse, don't you, Jalmari?
No, I didn't chum. It didn't bet in the race.
No, neither did I, to be honest. I was lucky. I would have backed Rangi Tower for sure, and for whatever reason I didn't. I don't know why. The spider sense was going off. I just thought $6 was just. It was one of those ones where it was too good to be true. I'm like, why is this horse blowing? And and I was happy to have stayed out.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to race 4 to 1900, 78. Fast early, solid 600. Pale King has got the job done.
What a Pale, yeah. Our King got the job done in the run, and Pale King won the race. And Ellen Hennessy's ride here is top 10 all time of the most incredible things I've ever seen in racing.
Yeah, Jim Martini, forget it, went round, and Hammer-On's off to the paddock, thank God.
Isn't it a punish of a creature?
It is. Ting Tong over-raced. Probably obviously Just a Jedi was a total forgive as well.
Complete forgive.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Brenton's fault too either, this one at all. We're sort of watching this race. You can see the two leaders, they're going out insanely fast. Rachel King just keeps doing this and doesn't even make the steward's report. Not a one question of her to why she was pressuring the leader throughout. Absolutely insanity, and doesn't even get a mention. As they're saying, I think Dylan Gibbons got asked about why he went so fast on the leader, but he's not the one pushing the speed here. And then the third horse, this is where it all happens. So it's got, you can see, 4 lengths probably to cruise up and get around the heels of the leader or the leaders, and just watch what Ellen Hennessy does. And it's very lucky she didn't cause a major incident.
She's off to the riding school, I think they've suggested.
Why does she not get suspended? Why does she? I understand riding school is some sort of penalty, but look at this. Where is she going? Where is she going? Look at this. And the horse clearly, I think you can say, should have absolutely won. My God, it should have been well in front of the winner, off and gone. And I think it closes on it late from memory, which is insane considering the interference it's caused. And Just a Jedi, probably an argument that he probably should have been in the finish too. But yeah, ugly race. What do you do with the form? I don't think it's a horrible race. I think these horses can go to similar races and be competitive. Just a hard one to dissect, isn't it?
Yeah, the race is okay.
The race is okay, but the winner was certainly flattered, but it still did something. Yeah, just be careful with this race.
Race 5, the 1100 metre 78, solid tempo here, which of course helped the winner, Mars Mission, get over him late. Winning Verse was well backed. What else do we have to say here?
Carried some of mine.
Delexo. Forgive it.
Had a barrier trial, didn't it?
It's pulled up with the thumps.
Didn't try. I saw that, but he pulled it out the gate, out the back, and he never at any stage tried to put the horse in the race. Maybe it did have something wrong with it, but it looked to me like he just gave it a straight out barrier trial. It was probably one of the horses I thought was interesting going forward. I don't know what horses do off the thumps at their next start. I'm assuming it's something like cardiac arrhythmia, and they can improve significantly. I think he's one to note down to have a look at next time out, Delexio.
Yeah, I'd probably not. I wouldn't disagree with that, John.
Winning Verse, I think, had it. So they definitely went too quick. Horse outside absolutely buried its life. As in, they've gone a bit quick early. It's put it to the sword early. Made it for the winner. The winner's just had every conceivable. Don't know what to make of Winning Verse. Just becoming a little bit of one of those horses that struggles to put a race away, but which is weird when you see what it did down in Melbourne that time when it just absolutely bolted up. But it's this time in it's run well, but it just maybe just lacking something to put a race away. Yeah,
it's definitely gone back on my numbers. Okay, anything else to say about that race?
Not really. I think the winners, he had every chance, but it's hard to knock the horse. It's definitely got really strong upside. It's got, good speed, can put itself in a spot. It's a very hard horse to knock. So I think it's a pretty neutral race.
Let's get into the Rosehill Cup, and of course the 2 of the 3 that finished in the first 3 with the imports.
Wasn't this a nightmare to try and work out before the race? My God.
Solid tempo. He's a shocker, should have won.
Yeah.
Honey Creeper disappointing.
I had a good look at Honey Creeper, and I swear it's had a barrier trial. I swear that's it, second last, and she never puts it in the race. And it was only, I don't know what she ran. I haven't checked times, but I'm assuming that the last section wasn't actually too bad.
Solid tempo up front. Last section not too bad. They did come home 1.4 above the last 400. 1.8 above the last 400. 1.4 above the last 200 in terms of the race sectionals.
Yeah.
Look, it seemed disappointing, didn't it?
There's a few horses had barrier trial. It's that time of year, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing to say if you take it literally, but they have other races in mind, don't they? And this might have been a bridging race for this horse to get to another race, this week, next week, or something like that. I'd be interested in forgiving it if it did back up in the next sort of 7 to 14 days in a mare's race somewhere, which is likely, this time of year, and I think it can improve. I just thought she was just super quiet. Look at it here. It's where was it the other day? It was 5th or 6th in a 1500 meter race. Now it's in a 2000 meter race last. You got Stockman in front of it. It is having a cruise around for Melbourne Cup Day, and all the better contenders, all the horses that are in the finish are 8 lengths in front of it now. It's just been given no chance, and who's just it shows how weak our racing is in this area. You got Star of India. What's the horse that ran 3rd? Boy d'Argent. The horse that ran 4th, all having their first starts here. But this form may end up being quite strong. So, yeah, I think this is
I don't think there's anything wrong with the race. Yeah, I think the race is fine. I think
it's a really strong race.
Yeah, I wouldn't say really strong.
No, I mean from from form wise, this will carry a lot of form. That a lot of winners will come out of this.
Yeah,
in these sorts of races.
Yeah, I mean, He's a Shocker goes to that, goes to sort of that level pretty much all the time.
What about that? Like that was nearly as bad as E Hennessy. So she's in this same spot that E Hennessy is, where all she's got to do is come around the 2 leaders' heels at any time, and completely misses the boat.
Come on, John. This is not the Rachel King bag fest.
It's not Rachel King, is it? This is Jamie Carr. Rachel Carr.
Oh,
I call her Rachel Carr. You know that, do you?
I was talking about Honey Creeper.
Well, that's it. No, I think she was doing what she was. I think it had a barrier trial, but Jamie Carr just had an absolute mare on He's a Shocker, and very much like the horse in the previous, should have been outside the leaders with momentum and completely missed the boat, got chopped out and had to build it up again, and like you say, absolute certainty beat.
So Pinarella, McAvoy is saying they should pull the blinkers off so it can settle.
I don't know what to make of it. It's the one horse that was really disappointing in the race. Anyway, that race is worth spending time on.
Let's move on to the best race of the day, in my opinion. The Winners Stakes, Private Eye, and not best because of the result. Look, what do I say here? Average tempo, Private Eye just absolutely airborne, and probably would be challenging for one of the best sprinters. Well, I'm going to say sprinters in the country now.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best horses in the country, isn't it? It's not far off. It's and you'd say in 12 months' time he's probably going to continue to improve, and he'd be, if I was setting a market for the Everest now for next year, he'd be favourite, or he'll give you a kick. It's hard to deny it. But
Lost and Running was lame, 1 out of 5. Eduardo's off to the paddock.
He's about cast.
It may be gone.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Strong maybe too.
Marzu pocketed plenty of prize money as a result of the bonus. Something to do with the bonuses and the way it worked and picked up.
Mate, it hasn't won a race this preparation, and it got a $2.5 million bonus. That's the best ever.
Well, if you wanted the connections, you're happy, aren't you? So.
Oh, exactly. It's completely insane, but yeah, no, great stuff for the connections. It's just complete madness.
The way this horse just put him away.
Look, Master Crusader was probably the disappointing horse. It was the one that was best suited by the conditions, along with Private Eye, I thought, and back onto a dry track is what I mean, and run on ish conditions. I thought Riadini was really good late for further. This horse is just flying, isn't it? This brutality. I don't know what the heck he's going to run it in. Maybe it'll probably go to the Hawkesbury race. What's it called? It's not at Hawkesbury anymore. The Villiers. It's a sort of race this horse will run in, I would imagine.
So I've just 11 runs for Colding since it was competitive.
What's going on there?
It was. This is the official handicap. 116 back on the 21st of August 21, after it ran 5th behind, was that Favetta? So it was 116. It's now 108. So it's only 4 and 8 pounds in these. This is what's happened to the horse since. Beaten 2.13, beaten 53.63 lengths, beaten 7, beaten 6.37, beaten 9.75, beaten 19.63, beaten 18.06, beaten 1.56, beaten 1, beaten 11 3/4, beaten 5 1/4.
Yeah. Obviously, dry tracks.
It's insane.
I know.
All I'm saying is that that's what's wrong with the system, is that it's not like Hong Kong where it's merit based, where that horse would be have fallen far further in the handicap ratings. If you're following official handicap ratings, you may as well give up.
No, look at that. I think that the poster child for that is that horse called Benno. It's like it's 100 and
won an hour maiden.
It's won an hour maiden. It's been placed in group racing in restricted grade only, and it's a 104 rater. It's 13 starts, 1 win, 3 seconds and a third, and it's a 104 rater. And the win, like I said, is a narrow maiden. I agree. It's and to get that horse back to where you can actually place it, nearly impossible.
Well, what about the Melbourne Cup this year?
Yeah,
Gold Trips won 1 race.
57.5 kilos.
Top weight, wins one race.
Hmm. And even
Anyway.
that's it. Even in isolation, Duay's won 7 and from a second. But
okay, let's talk about the pop up Golden Eagle. I suppose we've got to call it a Group 1, just otherwise we'll. But really, I mean, Fangirl should win.
I didn't even know it was a Group 1, so they've instated this race a Group 1.
No. We're calling it a Group 1.
Oh, you're calling it a Group 1.
Well, there's $10 million prize money. When does it become a Group 1?
Well, it'll never become a Group 1 if he keeps deciding to just make it his own little pet and change field sizes and do stuff like that. They'll never let it be a Group 1. But field-wise, I don't know. I don't think it even was a Group 1, to be honest.
It's probably more like a Group 3. But anyway,
it should be a Group 1. It should be for 10 million, and it should be a target race. But it is what it is. I'm still coming to terms with Fangirl running up to it and getting camera shy, but I did watch it again, and maybe the winner did switch off and kick again, and maybe I'm being a bit harsh to Fangirl. Maybe the winner's a bit better than I thought.
Look, the winner's got talent. Obviously, the fast pace sort of helped. There's plenty of horses behind it. I mean, Gypsy Goddess has come back well, and Light Infantry, poor old Jamie Spencer needs a compass. And
yeah, it was predictable though, wasn't it? It was predictable.
It was fairly predictable. I think you and I both said that, and probably plenty of others as well. It was a good run. What else do you want to say about the race?
All the strong horses came to the top, like you said. All the horses that closed were given their chance, due to the mad speed. In the Congo's done a pretty good job, all things considered, to sort of got attacked the whole way by Mr. Mozart, kicked on and run 6th. There's no real there's excuses for Light Infantry. It certainly probably should have finished closer, but
Well, they're also saying that the trainers saying that Chain of Lightning, and I would agree, just doesn't handle it that firm. I'm saying a forgive for Chain of Lightning.
Yep, for sure. Who was down the outside here? There wasn't. There was nothing I thought did anything out of the ordinary. This Hope in Your Heart's absolutely flying. Hinge was suited by the speed. You said Gypsy Goddess, strong horse, ran on because of a fast tempo. Everything made sense here. The winner was very well set up, slightly back in distance. Dry track, I think, suits it. Good to see that it can go both ways. It definitely did just float when it got to the front. Just got there a little bit early. So I think the win was actually better than it looked, and it definitely does kick. You can see it definitely picks up again that last 50 metres, which will help me sleep at night, because I thought Fangirl was going to flood over the top of it, and it was absolutely fainting. But you can see it. It nearly changes stride with a yard to go and picks up. And poor old Luke Nolan must have been having flashbacks to Royal Ascot and Black Caviar the last 50 metres there. But it's a good payday for them. And I love, did you see Peter Moody celebrating with a bag of a 4X bag and of long necks, and whereas most people would be posting videos of caviar or whatever, but not Pete Moody. He wins a $10 million race and he's in someone's backyard having a long neck of 4X. Good on him.
Mm. Well, let's move on to the $500,000 benchmark 68.
Now this is more insane than the $10 million race that these horses are racing for half. And I said again, not begrudging the owners, but this is insane. This is a Wednesday race.
Oh, it is Wednesday, Saturday, but borderline Saturday.
No
$500,000 race.
Yeah, like no qualifying, nothing. It's just a race that they've decided to put $500,000 worth of prize money on for. You can dissect this because I couldn't find anything.
The mare, which ran third, that was held up a bit. I mean, it ran in a $55,000 race last start, 72 in midweek, and now it's in a $500,000 race.
Yep.
And starts a shorter SP, so that'll tell you about the race.
Yep. And probably should have won, arguably.
I backed that thing that Bowman rode. Got good price and everything, but that doesn't.
Mahogany.
Mahogany or whatever it is. And I also backed Prince Aurelius, who I expected to sort of be on pace, and it's missed a kick, and they've gone back on it. Yeah.
Actually ran quite well. So why he just completely against its pattern, absolutely. Yeah, poor old Mahogany, 64 kilos. I think everyone got excited after they saw Butman win on 64 the other day. It's just not that easy to do, is it? Not that easy,
No.
but Winners won it first up, did a good job. No excuses I could find apart from Lemaire for anything in the race. Obviously, yeah, Prince Aurelius missed a kick for sure and ran quite well, to be fair, but most in the run had their chance. Absolutely, these horses are just going to keep running around against each other, and it won't be for 500,000.
No. I mean, Wealthy Investor actually, it covered a fair bit of extra ground.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit forgiving of it, but yeah, they're not much good. Let's get on to the 78 below average tempo in the last, and she just pulled their pants down here, and not sure
but
what.
She didn't, did she? She did, but she didn't. She did.
Well, she did. She didn't. She didn't. She wrote her instructions.
Yeah, but I mean, as in like watching the race, you went, "Holy shit, this thing's gone like a rocket," and it just hasn't. It's just been handed the race. It's done nothing. Bowman's dragged the favourite out, and it's gone out slow and come home slow, and they've just gone really slow, and it's looked like it's bolted up and it's done nothing.
Yeah, I've had enough of I'm Lethal.
Yeah, I think I was gonna ask you if you backed it. It's just a dead set nightmare of a horse, isn't it? It's
Well, I mean, when she crossed, I'm Lethal copped a little bit of a check, and maybe it was racing a little bit keen, but it gets back, and it's anyway.
This is the ultimate setup for me for when you've got to be careful going forward with horses that look better than they are. So they've gone slow to this point. You've got a horse resuming here. You've got Stromboli. What's this horse? It's a Northern's horse. What's it called?
Which one?
Spirinac. They pulled up. I think it pulled up with an issue, didn't it? So it's
lane 2 out of 5.
So it's pulled up lane. So it's not in the race. It's not there. So it's running cover. This horse is first up, very one paced Stromboli. I'm Leith, as you said, we're both chosen to sack it. So this horse has basically got cover from all of these horses. It's done nothing in front. So it's like a trot race where it's, run out 34 sections in front, and then it's got cover from all these horses. The only horses that can actually go are back in the field, given no winning chance due to the tempo. So this is just completely flatter all day long. Not many horses sort of led and won there, which is the only, little positive tick you can give to it. But just be very careful about the leader, because it looks like the win was a lot better than it was, and it's just had absolute birthday ideal, perfect storm.
Okay, let's talk about horses to follow.
I
have I want to keep an eye on Delexo. I'm not saying it's a horse to follow, but just keep an eye on it next time around.
I think we're in the same boat there.
I'm going to say, well, Private Eye's obvious. Airborne.
It goes around this week.
Yeah, like it's just airborne. Gypsy Goddess has come back well, so I'm saying you can follow her. And Democracy Manifest in the last, who ran home in very quick sectionals against an impossible task.
So Delexio, same as you. I think you'll get a price next start to be forgiving of it, and I think it'll be worthwhile. I don't think it's a horse that's going to go around at short odds. So I think, if you get around that $10 mark and however way you do form, if you can sort of give it a little bit of a bonus back to whatever you would expect it to do normally, I think it'll run to that at the very least. Honey Creeper is a horse that I'm 100% going to forgive. I just think that race was a lot stronger and it was just given none. I think it'll sneak down to Melbourne and run a big race in a mares race down there. What else? I think Riadini is very close to being ready to do something. A horse that wasn't suited in its 2 runs back so far, and if it can get to sort of 1,500-1,600 and up on speed in a race like the Villiers or something like that, it'll run really nicely. I think they're my 3.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's all we're going to do this week. I'm going to be back with a preview for the Melbourne Cup and a review of the Saturday Flemington meeting with Peter Lawrence soon. Just interesting, John, with Deauville Legend now, just looking at the market, 11-4, the fair, and the totes have, as you mentioned, have been crunched. What are they currently sitting at? Around 9-4.
They're sneaking back out, but they were. Yeah. Someone smashed them into like $2.50 basically across the board, maybe an hour or so ago. Yeah. Definitely someone with a plan.
out to about 9 to 4 now with about 200,000 in the pool.
Yeah.
Look, I bought this horse with a friend of mine, good friend of mine, in the Calcutta, and laid my share back at the $3.70 and pretty much got it going for the concession and the third placing for nothing. It just strikes me, I'm not putting the horse, it just strikes me as something that should start longer, given...
Yeah. I think we're both in the same thing. So nothing to do with the horse at all. Just talking about, its strategy. If you have got this horse, if you've had it, you and your wife and your kid and your dog and everyone have signed up to BetR and you've got your $10 I think it would be smart to trade out now, only because I think you'll have the opportunity to secure a much better price within 24 hours, even if you want to bet it back. So, I think you can. The market is so weird here that it's definitely being. I'm not going to say manipulated. That's another bad word, like the old barrier trial when a horse is racing. But I think it's in someone's best interest to keep this horse as short as possible at the moment. And at some point, it will get out. So if you want to trade out at the moment, I think it's not a bad thing to do, and you may have an opportunity to jump back in if you want to later.
Yeah, sounds like a good deal. Okay, punters, thanks for the short and sweet. Well, Peter's got all the good ideas.
I'll be watching. Is Peter the ideas man?
He's got all the good ideas. I just copy whatever he says.
That's it. I do that with a lot of people. That's it. You just got to make it your own. Good luck tomorrow, everyone.
Good judge, Pete. Thank you. Everyone enjoy tomorrow. Bye-bye.